Welcome back, anime fans! Ready to relive one of 2024's most electrifying underdog stories? Wistoria. Wand and Sword gave us a magicless protagonist in a world where magic equals power, and somehow made us believe a sword could compete with spells. Whether you binged it in one sitting or need a refresher before Season 2, this recap has you covered. Grab your goggles and sharpen your blades. Let's dive into Will Serfort's impossible journey. Will Serfort is an anomaly at Rigarden Magical Academy, a sixth-year honors student who knows everything about magic theory, but can't cast a single spell. When Professor Edward Serfant publicly humiliates him in class to prove magic is absolute supremacy, Will's torment continues with bullying from the arrogant noble Sion Ulster, who mocks his dream of becoming a Magia Vander, the world's most powerful wizards. Will's only support comes from his friend Colette Loire and the memory of his childhood friend Elfaria, who became the youngest Magia Vander in history. Facing expulsion with just 2 days to earn 4 credits, Will descends to the dungeon's 6th floor to hunt a Baskerville. However, Sion sabotages him by attempting to defeat it first, only to encounter a deadly sentinel, a 10-credit monster from the deeper floors. Just when Sion faces certain death, Will arrives and uses his master swordsmanship to effortlessly slice through the sentinel, earning 10 credits in one stroke and securing his place at the academy while leaving everyone stunned. Through flashbacks, we learn that 5 years ago, Will enrolled at the academy shortly after Elfaria graduated and became a Magia Vander, with headmaster Cauldron Anuv accepting him despite his inability to use magic, envisioning his sword as a substitute for a wand. In the present, Professor Werkner Norgom explains that advancing to the Upper Institute, the path to becoming a Magia Vander, requires either inventing new magic or earning massive credits. Will's only realistic shot is the former, an almost impossible task. After class, Sion confronts Will again, furious about being saved and shown up by a magicless failure. Meanwhile, Edward pressures Cauldron to expel Will for failing spell work despite excelling in all other subjects, and Cauldron agrees to let Edward administer a special test. Will must land a single hit on the professor without using magic. Initially struggling without his sword, Will seems doomed until Colette rushes to deliver his weapon from his locker, allowing him to slice through Edward's defensive magic and strike from an aerial blind spot, grazing his face and passing the test in spectacular fashion. Will's signature goggles are revealed to be a parting gift from Elfaria before she left the academy, a treasured reminder of their bond. In the present, Will completes his morning newspaper delivery job and discovers that Elfaria has invented yet another new magic spell, subsequently issuing an order to the academy to collect Frostwalker cores from the dungeon. Will enlists his roommate, Rosti Naumann, to craft magical items for this mission, before heading to the dungeon's 4th floor, where he saves a student named Iris Churchill, who claims Elfaria once rescued her in a similar situation. Together, they hunt for Frostwalkers, but encounter an exceptionally powerful variant called the Frost Rex. Using his encyclopedic monster knowledge and explosive devices crafted by Rosti, Will manages to restrain and defeat the creature. The episode's twist reveals that Iris Churchill is actually Iris X, Stella Maris, a high-ranking watcher sent by Elfaria herself to secretly monitor Will's progress while posing as a student. When Iris reports to the Magia Vander Council and recommends Will for a tower position with the ominous, fated day approaching, the other Magia Vanders object, deciding to postpone any decisions until after the upcoming Grand Festival. The Academy's top credit earners are revealed: Lihanna Owenzaus, Wignall Lindor, and Julius Reinberg, all of whom are advancing to the Upper Institute. The biennial Grand Magic Festival approaches, a competitive event between the Academy's 4 tower factions, and Will plans to skip it after humiliating himself during his second year, despite Colette's encouragement. While visiting their lockers, Will and Colette discover a hidden passageway leading to an underground gambling ring, taking bets on festival outcomes. That evening, Will works his night shift at Gina's Tavern, a dwarf-frequented establishment, alongside Rosti. Julius Rainberg and his cronies arrive and begin insulting the dwarf patrons, prompting Will to stand up and demand an apology. A fight breaks out with Will easily dispatching Julius's friends, but Julius uses his ice magic to freeze Will in place, dominating the confrontation. Satisfied with asserting his superiority but wanting to publicly humiliate Will, Julius declares he'll finish the job at the festival and demands Will enter the competition, setting up their inevitable rematch. The Grand Magic Festival begins with scouts like Iris watching the proceedings, specifically focusing on Will's performance. The opening event is Crown Attack, a brutal team-based competition where trios must navigate trap-filled courses and battle other teams to claim a crown at the finish line. Will teams up with Colette and Sion, charging through the course equipped with magical gauntlets, while Colette provides support, and he uses his monster knowledge and combat skills to demolish opponents. However, Julius intercepts them at the goal and attacks Will with powerful ice magic, seeking revenge for the tavern incident. Sion responds by casting a massive fire spell to counter Julius's ice, but then shockingly turns his magic on Will instead, demanding they settle their rivalry through a duel right then and there, completely disregarding the fact they're supposed to be teammates working together to win the event. As Will and Sion clash in the middle of the Crown Attack event, flashbacks reveal Sion's deep-seated resentment. He first met Will and immediately targeted him with bullying, unable to accept that someone without magic could survive at the academy. Sion provokes Will to attack him, but Will refuses to strike a teammate, understanding the bigger picture even as Sion can't see past his pride. Meanwhile, Colette battles Julius elsewhere in the arena, and the spectating students notice something the competitors don't. Julius has created clones of himself to simultaneously attack multiple teams, a brilliant but underhanded tactic. Wignall Lindor immediately recognizes the deception and effortlessly destroys the clone attacking his team. When Will attempts to retreat from Sion's attacks, Sion cuts off all escape routes by summoning his powerful guardian deity Halcon to corner him. Left with no choice, Will engages the creature and easily reads its attack patterns, dismantling it with surgical precision. Just as Will and Sion prepare to deliver decisive blows to each other, Colette intervenes, telling Will to forget Sion and go after the real Julius to win the event. Sarissa Alfeld, aide-de-camp to the Ice faction, presents Elfaria with a formal recommendation for Julius to become her successor. Will confronts Julius in the arena as crowds watch, and Julius immediately deploys his illusion spell Ars Weiss, overwhelming Will with multiple clones and freezing him in place before boasting to the audience that he has mastered El Glace Frosse, the legendary series of 12 ice magic spells created by Elfaria herself. However, Will, who grew up alongside Elfaria and knows her magic intimately, recognizes Julius's bluff. He hasn't truly mastered Ars Weiss, as his teammates are secretly controlling the clones from hiding spots. Using this knowledge, Will attacks from a blind spot and eliminates Julius's support, then locates the real Julius by detecting subtle temperature differences in the ice magic before delivering a devastating counterattack, coldly noting that Elfaria invented this magic when she was only 2 years old. In desperation, Julius summons 8 clones despite only being able to control 4 properly, resulting in a sloppy, predictable assault that Will effortlessly dodges before defeating Julius decisively. However, the victory is bittersweet. While Will and Julius were fighting, Wignall's team quietly secured the crown, winning the entire event. Following his viral victory over Julius, Will celebrates at Gina's Tavern with Colette, Rosti, and Werkner, while a humbled Julius washes dishes as punishment for his earlier disrespect. Will's performance has made him the Academy's hottest prospect, with students desperately seeking to form teams with him for the upcoming all-student Praxis, a dangerous dungeon expedition. On Will's day off, he goes shopping with Colette and Rosti, but Colette grows increasingly frustrated as Rosti keeps physically positioning himself between her and Will, oblivious to her romantic feelings. While Will gets his sword maintained at the blacksmith, Colette and Rosti have a private conversation addressing the awkward tension. At the blacksmith, Will encounters Lehana Owenzaus, one of the top-ranked students, who invites him to join an elite party consisting of herself, Julius, Scion, and Wignall for the Praxis. When Lehana reveals her family faces financial ruin and becoming a Magia Vander is her only hope to save them, Will accepts the invitation, and Colette joins as well. Days later, the all-student Praxis officially begins, where lower dungeon floors are temporarily unlocked, offering massive credit opportunities but carrying lethal risks. Some students die during this event every time it's held. Will's powerhouse party tears through the dungeon's lower floors, making short work of weaker monsters as they rapidly advance deeper than the competition. However, Will grows frustrated as he can't earn any credits. His teammates are so powerful, they defeat every enemy before he can land a finishing blow. Lehana explains their true objective: defeat the 10th floor boss, worth a massive 110 credits that would guarantee her advancement. When they reach the boss chamber, however, they discover it's already dead. And before they can process this, an even more powerful monster ambushes them, destroying the ground and causing the entire party to plummet to the 11th floor. A restricted zone only high-ranking mages are permitted to enter. The fall separates the group into 3 pairs: Will with Wignall, Colette with Lehana, and Scion with Julius. Meanwhile, back at the surface, a catastrophic monster stampede decimates the Academy's Praxis camp, with several professors killed by 2 mysterious mages named Marzi and Headless, forcing officials to cancel the Praxis. Deep in the 11th floor, Will and Wignall search for their separated teammates, but Wignall's arrogance causes problems. He stubbornly refuses Will's help and insists his magic alone is sufficient. But when a monster proves too strong for him, and Will saves his life, Wignall breaks down emotionally. Wignall tearfully confesses the source of his arrogance and insecurity. As an elf, he's expected to excel at magic, but his signature illusion magic lacks physical mass, making it nearly useless in combat and causing other elves to view him as inferior. The pain is especially acute when comparing himself to his childhood friend Eleanor Leo Salf, who became a Magia Vander while he remains stuck as a mediocre talent. Will bonds with Wignall over their shared status as no talents in a world that values magical power above all else, and this encouragement helps Wignall push past his mental block. When they're attacked by Balkars, monsters immune to physical attacks and most magic, Wignall finally achieves a breakthrough, giving his illusions physical form and defeating the enemies. Meanwhile, instructors evacuate remaining students from the dungeon, while Werkner and Edward venture into the dangerous 11th floor, searching specifically for Will's missing party. Will and Wignall reunite with Scion and Julius, and elsewhere, Colette and Lehana face the mysterious mages Mars and Headless. The entire party reunites just as Headless uses transportation magic to summon the creature that knocked them to the 11th floor, an evil Grand Duke, a legendary 270 credit monster that shouldn't exist on this floor. With monsters blocking their escape route and the evil Grand Duke blocking their path forward, Will's party has no choice but to fight. Will devises a desperate strategy, teaching Julius Elfaria's advanced technique for maintaining continuous incantations across multiple Ars Vice clones, allowing Julius to channel his most powerful spell and temporarily immobilize the Duke. Lehana attempts to deliver the killing blow with her strongest attack, but it's blocked by a magical barrier that Marze and Headless secretly placed on the monster. The Duke's counterattack nearly kills Lihanna, but Will saves her at the cost of his goggles, the irreplaceable gift from Elfaria, shattering them and psychologically breaking him. As Lihanna and Wignall desperately hold off the Duke's continued assault, Sion considers fleeing to save himself, but Will asks Sion to beat him up to help him refocus, which Sion does with enthusiasm. Colette tells Sion that Will is terrified but refuses to run away, inspiring all three to rejoin the battle with renewed determination. However, even their combined efforts aren't enough to defeat the Duke. In a critical moment, Will notices a mysterious crystal rosti secretly placed in his equipment, triggering suppressed memories from his past. After remembering something crucial, Will has Sion fire a spell directly at him and absorbs the magical energy into his sword, using a mysterious power called Whis, before killing the 270-credit evil Grand Duke in a single devastating strike. As the evil Grand Duke dies, it summons hordes of lower-ranked monsters to avenge it, and Will's party is too exhausted to continue fighting. In a dramatic rescue, Magia Vander Aaron Masterius Old King arrives and single-handedly annihilates the monster horde with overwhelming power, demonstrating the vast gap between students and true masters. Will notices Aaron's dungeon guide, a young-looking man named Finn, who seems far more significant than a simple guide. Meanwhile, despite failing to eliminate Will's party, Marze and Headless completed their actual mission, retrieving a Mage Slayer sword from the dungeon's depths. Back at the academy, students and faculty hold memorial services for those killed during the Praxis disaster as Will's party recovers in the infirmary. Sion questions Will about the mysterious whiz power he used, but Will genuinely can't remember what happened during those crucial moments. In a private meeting, Finn reports to Headmaster Cauldron and presents a broken Mage Slayer sword that Aaron's expedition team recovered from rogue mages conducting experiments on the 40th floor. Finn angrily confronts Cauldron about hiding Will's existence from him, as Finn is supposedly meant to lead the swords, but Cauldron silences him by explaining Will's unwavering commitment to becoming a mage despite having no magical talent, a dedication that must be respected. 2 months pass, with the academy slowly returning to normal as students prepare for final exams, but the mysteries of Whis, Mage Slayers, and Will's true nature remain unresolved.